The war of words between Washington and Tehran is heating up again, just days after a shaky ceasefire brought an end to direct military strikes. The US President Donald Trump lashed out yesterday at Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, accusing him of arrogance and defiance, and warning that more bombing could follow if Iran resumes high-level uranium enrichment. Trump claimed he personally blocked an Israeli plan to kill Khamenei during last week's conflict, saying, "I saved him from a very ugly and ignominious death." The fiery remarks came after Khamenei said Iran had slapped America in the face by striking a US base in Qatar in retaliation for the American-led bombing of 3 major nuclear sites. Trump also revealed he had been considering lifting sanctions on Iran to encourage a faster recovery, but dropped that plan after Khamenei's comments. In a post on social media, Trump said, "I get hit with anger and hatred," and immediately dropped all work on sanction relief. Iran, for its part, insists there will be no return to nuclear talks unless Trump changes his tone and shows respect towards Khamenei. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi called the US's tone disrespectful and unacceptable, saying any potential deal must respect Iran's leadership and sovereignty. This stalemate deepened as Iran's parliament moved to block access to nuclear sites, just as IAEA Chief Rafael Grossi made inspections his top priority. While Trump says Iran wants to meet Iranian officials, maintained there's no plan for fresh negotiations at this point. Here's what President Donald Trump had to say.
As you know, their sites were obliterated. They're very evil nuclear sites. Now has been proven. We had some fake news for a little while.
If the intelligence reports conclude that Iran can enrich uranium to a level that concerns you, would you consider bombing the country again?
Sure, without question, absolutely.
So after a week of missile strikes, political barbs, and mixed signals, the future of US-Iran diplomacy remains deeply uncertain. So now, as the tensions are very high between Trump and Iran, Tehran, the war of words between Washington and Tehran has been continuing since the war started and ended, which was just for 12 days. And just days after a shaky ceasefire brought an end to direct military strikes. US President Donald Trump lashed out yesterday at Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, accusing him of arrogance and defiance and warning that more bombing could follow. Now we have guests joining us for this discussion. Ambassador Ashok Sajanhar is a former Indian diplomat. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to NewsX World. According to you, is President Trump's public threat of more bombing if Iran resumes enrichment likely to deter Tehran, or does it risk triggering another cycle of escalation?
Yes, thank you very much for having me on your show. You are very right. The tenor, the language, the manner in which President Donald Trump has addressed Iran, as the Iranian foreign minister has said, it is disrespectful and it is insulting. So obviously, what Mr. Trump was thinking, that the two sides, US and Iran, would be able to meet next week to discuss the nuclear enrichment issue. That doesn't seem to be happening, and if that doesn't happen, then the whole issue is in a limbo. and Iran has threatened. It could be, of course, for public perception. It could be for domestic consumption. You know, it could be symbolic statements that they could have made, like the supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei has said that, you know, we gave a slap on the face of America by hitting their Al-Udeid base in Qatar. I think the whole world knows that the information that it was going to bomb, Iran was going to bomb this base in Qatar, had been provided earlier. So it was just a pro forma, it was a very symbolic sort of attack for the consumption for
And
the Iranian people of the domestic constituency. So it does, you know, have a risk associated with the further escalation of the matter.
And building on that, and also looking at current situation with Iran's parliament moving to block IAEA access, how much leverage does the US realistically still have left to ensure nuclear transparency for future?
Yeah, you know, that is a very difficult question because it will depend upon how Iran assesses its current situation. It has to save face after what has happened, but it also knows that it is in a very weak position. It's in a very weak position economically, politically, strategically, in terms of security. Of course, it has been able to deliver you know, and inflict much damage on Israel, on its cities, Tel Aviv, Haifa, Jerusalem, some of the other Beersheba, some of the other places. But then the pummeling that it has got, the punishment it has received both from America and Israel, that has been much greater. So I think it is, it'll have to decide because both Israel as well as America have stated that if Iran starts on its enrichment process again, they will come back and they will try to destroy its, you know, all its activities and centrifuges and all. So I think the ball is very much in Iran's court. I would imagine that after some time, and if there are enough carrots that are dangled in front of Iran, that it will be tempted to go in for these negotiations. And of course, the Europeans also will try to persuade it to come into those negotiations. So we'll really have to wait and see as to what decision that Iran decides to take.
And Ashok Sajjanhar, you will stay with us. We have a breaking news. Iran is holding a state funeral service today for around 60 people, including military commanders, killed in its war with Israel. Let's cut across. Now we are seeing people have collected in the streets and gathered around for the funeral that is to take place today. And we are seeing what looks like coffin that's wrapped in Iran's flags. And now we are joined back with our guest, former Ambassador Ashok Sajjanhar. He's a former Indian diplomat for this current discussion. What is your reaction seeing this, that a lot of people are showing support and have gathered to mourn the deaths of their Iranian leaders who were killed during this attack by Israel?
surge of emotions and sentiments and support for, at least temporarily amongst the people for the government because of the attacks that it has had to face from Israel and from America, and the damage and the destruction, the violence, the death that has taken place. There is immense support. I think it can be seen that whenever such attacks have taken place and what the Iranians called term of their own people, like the General Qasem Soleimani, who was assassinated in 2020 in Iraq. And there also, in terms of the numbers of people, I think it was in hundreds of thousands that had appeared. And it is basically a tactic and technique of the government to whip up support for themselves. And here also, we've seen such high commanders of the IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guards, as well as nuclear scientists, about 16 to 18 high-ranking nuclear scientists have been killed, and so many other important people have been killed in this 12-day war. So obviously, people coming out in such large numbers. Right now, it would be about 9 o'clock or something in Iran, in Tehran, and so I'm sure these sort of things would continue throughout the day, and there will be huge support in favor of the government for standing up and rising up against the attacks from Israel and America.
Thank you very much, Ashok Sajanhar. You will stay with us as we move on to our next news. On the Iranian front, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas